What if I told you that the most overlooked income opportunity in America is sitting in your own backyard right now? Not a side hustle that demands 40 hours a week. Not a business that requires a storefront, employees, or a business degree. I'm talking about plants that grow while you sleep, produce while you are at work, and generate income in markets that are desperately undersupplied. Most people walk past these plants every single day and see a garden. Smart growers see a revenue stream. And today, I am going to show you 20 backyard plants that generate genuine passive income. Plants that chefs are begging for, that supplement companies are importing at enormous cost, that the wellness industry is paying premium prices for, all while domestic growers sit on untapped opportunity. Stick around because number 6 on this list sells for up to $60 per pound, and most people pull it out of their garden as a weed. And number 15 is the only native North American caffeinated plant, and the market for it is completely wide open. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we post new videos every week at Ancient Flora. So let us get into it. Here are 20 backyard plants that generate passive income, ranked from impressive to absolutely life-changing. Number 1. Lavender. Let us start with the plant that most people already have somewhere in their garden, but almost nobody has figured out how to monetize properly. Lavender is one of the most commercially versatile plants in the world, and the domestic market for it is chronically undersupplied. Lavandula angustifolia sells in multiple forms across multiple markets simultaneously, which is exactly what you want from a passive income crop. Dried lavender bundles sell at farmers markets and online for $15 to $30 per pound. Lavender essential oil, which requires a small distillation setup, commands $40 to $80 per ounce for quality domestic product. But the real income diversity with lavender is in value-added products. Sachets, soaps, salves, culinary lavender for high-end restaurants, lavender honey when combined with beekeeping, and lavender syrup for coffee shops and cocktail bars. The wellness and natural home fragrance industry is worth billions, and lavender sits at the absolute center of it. Here is what makes lavender genuinely passive once established. This perennial shrub requires minimal water, minimal fertilization, and minimal care after the first year. You harvest once or twice per year, dry the bundles, and sell. A quarter acre planted in lavender generates between $10,000 and $30,000 annually, depending on your market and processing level. Think of it as the purple money plant that practically runs itself. Number 2. Calendula. Calendula is experiencing a renaissance in the natural skincare industry, and most growers have not caught up to what the market is willing to pay. Calendula officinalis, those cheerful orange and yellow flowers, sell for $20 to $50 per pound dried, and the demand from cosmetic manufacturers, soap makers, herbal apothecaries, and natural skincare brands is genuinely outpacing domestic supply. The reason calendula is such a strong passive income plant is the combination of low input costs and high output value. Seeds cost almost nothing. The plants produce abundantly from late spring through frost, requiring only regular harvesting to keep producing. Dried properly to preserve color and potency, the flowers command premium prices from buyers who specifically want domestic, organically grown product over imported alternatives. The natural skincare market has grown dramatically as consumers move away from synthetic ingredients, and calendula is one of the hero ingredients in that movement. Its documented wound healing and skin calming properties have generated clinical research backing that gives cosmetic brands confidence to feature it prominently on labels. You can sell wholesale to skincare manufacturers, retail to crafters through Etsy and farmers markets, or create your own value-added products, including infused oils and salves. Think of it as the flower that grows faster than the skincare industry can buy it. Number 3. Lemon balm. The wellness industry is experiencing what economists would call a demand shock for gentle, evidence-backed stress relief botanicals, and lemon balm sits right at the center of that market. Melissa officinalis sells for $20 to $40 per pound dried, with demand coming from multiple directions simultaneously. Herbal tea companies want it, supplement manufacturers want it, aromatherapy product makers want it, and the craft tea movement that has exploded over the past decade wants it with a story attached. Here is what makes lemon balm a genuinely passive income crop. It spreads aggressively once established, meaning your initial planting investment multiplies itself year after year without additional cost. It can be harvested multiple times per growing season, often 3 to 4 cuts per year in temperate climates. And the lemony fragrance that makes it commercially desirable also means no serious pest pressure because most insects avoid it. Research supporting lemon balm's traditional uses for anxiety and sleep has generated mainstream consumer interest that goes well beyond the traditional herbal market. People who have never bought an herbal supplement before are now searching for gentle, natural stress relief options and finding lemon balm. The market is broad, growing, and populated by buyers who prioritize quality and local sourcing. Think of it as the stress relief herb that spreads itself and pays you back every time it does. Number 4. Elderberry. The elderberry market transformed dramatically during the early 2020s when consumer demand for immune-supporting supplements exploded, and it has never returned to pre-pandemic levels. Sambucus nigra berries sell for $15 to $30 per pound fresh and significantly more processed into syrup, which commands $40 to $80 per 12-ounce bottle at farmers markets and online. The elderberry syrup market alone is worth hundreds of millions of dollars annually, and domestic berry supply has never caught up to demand. Most elderberry products sold in the United States use imported berries or standardized extracts from European suppliers. A domestic grower who can supply fresh or dried elderberries to local syrup makers, herbalists, and small supplement companies is filling a gap the market is actively searching for. Elder trees are large, long-lived perennials that require minimal maintenance once established. They tolerate a wide range of soils and conditions, spread through suckers to fill available space, and produce abundantly for decades. The flowers are also commercially valuable, selling for culinary use in cordials, syrups, and high-end restaurant applications. Planting elderberries is a 10 to 20-year income decision, meaning the early investment compounds annually as the trees mature and spread. Think of it as the immune medicine tree that pays dividends longer than most financial investments. Number 5. Ashwagandha. Most of the ashwagandha consumed in the United States is imported from India, processed under variable quality conditions, and sold through supply chains with significant transportation costs built into the final price. Domestic growers who produce high-quality organic ashwagandha root can command $25 to $60 per pound and step directly into a market that the supplement industry is desperate to source locally. Withania somnifera grows as an annual or tender perennial in most North American climates and has attracted extraordinary commercial attention because the adaptogen market it anchors has become one of the fastest-growing segments in the entire supplement industry. Clinical research validating ashwagandha's effects on stress hormones, sleep quality, and athletic performance has moved this plant from ethnic specialty to mainstream wellness staple in the span of about 5 years. Supplement companies, functional food brands, and natural health retailers all need reliable supply. The root is harvested in fall, dried, and sold either as whole dried root, cut and sifted material, or processed into powder. The income opportunity exists at every level of processing, and the grower who establishes direct relationships with supplement manufacturers captures significantly more margin than the grower who sells through intermediaries. Think of it as the stress medicine that everyone wants to buy and almost nobody in America is growing. Number 6. Purslane. And here's the one I teased at the beginning. The plant most gardeners spend time and energy removing from their beds, which sells for $15 to $30 per pound and is more nutritious than spinach, kale, or most other leafy greens they actually cultivate. Portulaca oleracea contains more omega-3 fatty acids than any other leafy green plant on Earth, along with extraordinarily high levels of magnesium, vitamin C, and antioxidant compounds. Modern nutrition researchers have described purslane's fatty acid profile as almost uniquely valuable among terrestrial plants. The market for purslane is concentrated and passionate. High-end restaurant chefs, particularly those cooking Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, and modern farm-to-table cuisine, know purslane's culinary value and pay premium prices for it. Health-conscious consumers discovering its nutritional profile through wellness media are creating new retail demand through farmers markets and CSA boxes. Specialty produce distributors serving restaurant markets are actively sourcing purslane and finding domestic supply insufficient. Think of it as the weed that has been trying to pay your mortgage, and you keep pulling it out. Number 7. Tulsi. Before we go further, if you are watching this and your mind is already calculating which of these plants could transform the unused corner of your yard into a revenue stream, hit that like button right now and subscribe to Ancient Flora. We share this kind of knowledge every single week, and I want you to have all of it. Now let us talk about Tulsi. Also called holy basil, Otsumum tenuiflorum is one of the single fastest growing specialty herb markets in North America, and domestic supply is genuinely scarce. The dried herb sells for $20 to $45 per pound, and the market reaches from traditional Ayurvedic practitioners to mainstream tea companies who have discovered Tulsi as the perfect stress relief and flavor story for premium tea blends. Adaptogen tea is one of the hottest beverage categories on the market, and Tulsi is the flagship ingredient. Major tea brands, including mainstream grocery brands, are now featuring Tulsi prominently. The volume they require is enormous, and most of it still comes from India. Here's the cultivation advantage. Tulsi grows aggressively in warm climates and can be grown in greenhouses or heated spaces in cooler regions. Multiple harvests per season are standard. The plant is ornamentally attractive, fragrant, and easy to manage. And the pricing premium for domestically grown, certified organic Tulsi over imported product is significant enough to justify small-scale production profitably. Think of it as the sacred herb that mainstream America just discovered and cannot source fast enough. Number 8. Catnip. The pet industry is worth over $150 billion annually in the United States. Pet owners treat their animals as family members and pay premium prices for quality products. High-grade organic catnip sells for $30 to $60 per pound, and the difference between premium catnip and the dusty material in cheap pet store toys is night and day in both quality and market price. Nepeta cataria grows as a vigorous perennial that spreads enthusiastically once established, requires virtually no inputs beyond initial planting, and can be harvested multiple times per season. The passive income arithmetic of catnip is compelling. An established catnip patch essentially maintains itself. The commercial catnip supply chain is dominated by cheap imported product of indifferent quality. A domestic grower producing fresh, potent, organically grown catnip has a genuine competitive advantage in premium channels. Think of it as the pet industry gold mine that spreads itself across your yard and demands almost nothing in return. Number 9. Hyssop. Hyssop carries both deep historical significance and genuine commercial opportunity, and the combination of those two qualities is exactly what the craft herb market rewards with premium pricing. Hyssopus officinalis sells for $20 to $35 per pound dried, serving herbal tea companies, aromatherapy product manufacturers, craft distillers, and herbalists who specifically want domestically grown medicinal herbs with known provenance. The craft spirits industry deserves particular attention as a hyssop market. Artisan gin makers and bitters producers are actively searching for high-quality, unusual botanicals to differentiate their products, and hyssop's complex, minty, slightly bitter aromatic profile is exactly what creative distillers want. A direct relationship with 2 or 3 craft distilleries in your region can absorb a significant portion of a small hyssop harvest at prices well above commodity herb rates. Hyssop is an attractive, drought-tolerant perennial with blue-purple flower spikes that pollinators love, meaning it also supports any other garden operation nearby. It requires minimal care once established and produces harvestable material from late spring through fall. The herb's documented history across biblical and medieval medicine traditions gives it the kind of origin story that premium market buyers pay extra for when it is told well. Think of it as the biblical herb that craft distillers are now paying for what priests once burned. Number 10. Valerian. Valerian root is one of the most consistently purchased herbal supplements in the American market, with annual sales in the tens of millions of dollars. Yet domestic cultivation of quality valerian root remains remarkably limited. Valeriana officinalis root sells for $15 to $30 per pound dried. Supplement industry buys in significant volume. Here's what makes valerian a compelling passive income crop for patient growers. It is a perennial that requires 2 to 3 years before root harvest, meaning the initial investment has a delayed payoff. But once established, a valerian planting produces for many years, and the plants propagate themselves readily through offsets, expanding the cultivated area with minimal effort. The tall, fragrant flower heads produced before harvest are also commercially valuable to the cut flower and dried flower markets, providing income in the years before root harvest becomes viable. The sleep support supplement category has grown dramatically as consumer awareness of sleep's importance to health has increased, and valerian is the foundational botanical in that category. Buyers range from supplement manufacturers who need bulk dried root to small herbalists who pay premium prices for locally grown material with documented cultivation practices.
Think of it as the patience crop that pays you while you wait with flowers and pays you generously when you finally harvest the root. Number 11. Stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is one of the most commercially undervalued plants in the world, and the gap between its genuine market value and the price most people assign to it because of its reputation is where the income opportunity lives. Urtica dioica sells for $15 to $30 per pound dried, and the markets for it are remarkably diverse. The supplement industry wants it for prostate health, joint support, and allergy relief preparations, all of which have clinical research backing. The specialty food market wants young nettle tops for high-end restaurant cuisine, where chefs use it in pasta, soups, and as a cooked green. Craft beer brewers use nettle in historical brewing recipes. Natural fiber producers are interested in nettle as a textile plant, and herbalists want bulk dried material for tinctures and teas. Stinging nettle grows as an aggressive perennial that, once established, requires no maintenance whatsoever beyond harvesting. It spreads through rhizomes and self-seeding to fill available space. The harvesting requires gloves, which is the total extent of its cultivation demand. Cooking or drying immediately neutralizes the sting completely. A nettle patch established in a moist corner of your property that you might otherwise consider unusable is a perpetual, self-sustaining income plant. Think of it as the plant with a reputation problem sitting on top of a profit opportunity. Number 12. St. John's wort. The mood support supplement market is worth billions annually, and St. John's wort is one of its anchor botanical ingredients, with decades of clinical research behind it. Hypericum perforatum sells for $15 to $25 per pound dried, and buyers range from large supplement manufacturers to small herbal companies who specifically want domestic, traceable, quality-controlled material. Here is the cultivation advantage of St. John's wort as a passive income plant. Once established, it requires virtually no inputs, spreads modestly to fill available space, and produces harvestable flowering tops once per year in midsummer, when the buds are just beginning to open, and the characteristic red pigmentation from hypericin is at peak concentration. The timing of harvest relative to bloom stage is critical to producing medicinal quality material, which is knowledge that differentiates premium domestic product from bulk commodity. Supplement companies and herbalists who have been burned by variable quality imported St. John's wort are actively seeking domestic growers who understand harvest timing and drying protocols. This knowledge premium compounds the pricing advantage domestic growers already hold. The plant also produces attractive yellow flowers across a long season, giving it secondary value in the cut flower market during non-harvest periods. Think of it as the sunshine plant that harvests once a year and sells year-round to buyers who are tired of inconsistent imports. Number 13. Echinacea. The immune support supplement category generates over $400 million in annual retail sales in the United States, and echinacea is its most recognized ingredient. Echinacea purpurea and Echinacea angustifolia root sell for $15 to $35 per pound, with the angustifolia species commanding significantly higher prices for its more concentrated active compound profile. Here is what makes Echinacea genuinely attractive as a passive income perennial. It is among the most beautiful flowering plants in a garden, producing large purple cone flowers across an extended summer season that provides significant value in the cut flower market independent of any medicinal harvest. The above-ground parts, harvested when flowering, sell to herbal companies and supplement manufacturers. The roots, harvested after 3 to 4 years when concentration of active compounds peaks, sell at the highest per-pound rates. The plant maintains itself, divides over time to increase your productive area naturally, and requires almost no care beyond harvest. Farmers market appeal should not be underestimated. Fresh-cut echinacea flowers attract customers who also buy dried herbs, creating a natural retail relationship. Echinacea disappears from commercial cultivation at the small farm scale precisely because growers do not realize the root harvest value. They see a pretty garden flower. Think of it as the immune medicine that decorates your yard while it builds its root value year after year. Number 14. Chamomile. Chamomile is the best-selling herbal tea ingredient in the world, and yet most of the chamomile consumed in the United States is imported from Egypt, Argentina, and Eastern Europe. Domestic chamomile consistently commands premium pricing over imported material specifically because buyers value freshness, traceability, and the flavor difference that freshly dried domestic chamomile delivers over chamomile that has traveled halfway around the world in shipping containers. Matricaria chamomilla sells for $15 to $30 per pound dried, and the markets are extraordinarily diverse. Tea companies, ranging from large commercial brands to small artisan tea blenders, all need consistent chamomile supply. Natural skincare manufacturers use chamomile extensively. Aromatherapy product makers want chamomile essential oil and hydrosol. And direct retail at farmers markets consistently produces strong sales because chamomile is a product that essentially every customer recognizes and regularly buys. The cultivation advantage is significant. German chamomile is a vigorous, self-seeding annual that, once established in a bed, essentially reseeds itself perpetually, requiring minimal intervention year over year. The harvesting is labor-intensive, as the small flowers must be gathered frequently at peak bloom, but the crop itself demands almost no cultivation investment. Think of it as the tea everyone's grandmother drank that the entire world still buys, and almost no American farmer is growing for that market. Number 15. Yaupon holly. And here's the one I teased at the beginning, the only native North American caffeinated plant whose market is completely wide open and whose pricing reflects that rarity in ways that should stop every grower with appropriate climate in their tracks. Ilex vomitoria is the only plant native to North America that contains caffeine, and dried yaupon leaves sell for $30 to $70 per pound, positioning it firmly at the premium end of the specialty tea market. The story alone is worth premium pricing. The only indigenous American tea plant, a caffeinated beverage with thousands of years of Native American ceremonial use, a smooth, mild flavor without the bitterness of green tea or the astringency of black tea, and a cultivation profile perfectly suited to the American Southeast, where it grows as a native understory plant requiring no irrigation, no fertilization, and minimal management once established. The craft tea movement, the wellness, beverage industry, and the local food movement have all converged on yaupon as one of the most compelling botanical stories available. Pioneering yaupon companies have proven the market is ready. The gap is supply. Growers in the Southeast who establish yaupon plantings today are positioning themselves ahead of a market curve that shows every sign of accelerating dramatically. Think of it as the American tea that has been growing wild for 10,000 years, waiting for someone to harvest it and tell its story. Number 16. Goldenrod. Goldenrod has one of the worst reputations in North American gardening, blamed for hay fever it does not actually cause, while ragweed, which blooms simultaneously and releases genuinely allergenic airborne pollen, escapes notice because it looks unremarkable. Solidago species are in fact one of the most valuable medicinal plants available to North American growers, selling for $15 to $25 per pound dried with established demand from herbal supplement manufacturers, urinary health product makers, and European herbal medicine markets that have used goldenrod standardized extracts for kidney and urinary tract support for decades. Beyond the supplement market, goldenrod is experiencing extraordinary demand from the natural dye industry, producing vivid yellow and gold colors in fabric that sustainable fashion brands and fiber artists are willing to pay premium prices for. The craft and natural textile movement has created buyers who seek goldenrod specifically and who value domestic, sustainably harvested material. Goldenrod is also one of the most important late-season pollinator plants available, meaning a goldenrod planting supports adjacent crops, bees, and beneficial insects across the property simultaneously. The plant spreads aggressively once established and requires absolutely nothing in terms of cultivation inputs. Think of it as the misunderstood plant that medicine buyers, dye artists, and bees all want simultaneously, and nobody is growing at scale. Number 17, marshmallow root. Marshmallow root has been used as medicine since ancient Egypt and remains one of the most reliably purchased bulk herbs in the supplement and herbal medicine market. Althea officinalis root sells for $15 to $25 per pound dried, with consistent demand from supplement manufacturers, herbal formulators, and natural health product companies producing preparations for digestive and respiratory support. Here is the passive income advantage of marshmallow. It is a tall, beautiful perennial that produces attractive pink flowers across a long summer season, giving it secondary value in cut flower and cottage garden markets, while the real income accumulates underground in the root system. The roots reach harvestable size in 2 to 3 years from planting, after which they can be partially harvested annually without killing the plant, creating a perpetual income from a single planting. Marshmallow is remarkably tolerant of difficult growing conditions, performing well in clay soils and areas of poor drainage where other crops struggle. This means it can occupy and monetize land on your property that would otherwise be unproductive. The growing consumer awareness of gut health has significantly increased demand for soothing, mucilaginous herbs like marshmallow root. Online searches for marshmallow root have grown consistently over the past several years as digestive health has become a mainstream wellness priority. Think of it as the ancient medicine that grows in your worst soil and pays you from the ground up. Number 18. Passion flower. Passion flower is one of the most visually spectacular plants in any garden, producing intricate, otherworldly flowers that stop visitors in their tracks. Passiflora incarnata is also one of the most commercially valuable medicinal herbs a temperate climate grower can produce, selling for $15 to $30 per pound dried, with demand from the sleep and anxiety supplement markets that has grown significantly alongside mainstream wellness interest in natural alternatives to pharmaceutical sleep aids. The passive income profile of passion flower is genuinely compelling. Once established, it is a vigorous perennial vine that climbs available structures and spreads through underground runners to expand its footprint without any intervention from the grower. The above-ground vine, harvested when flowering, provides the commercially valuable material. The flowers themselves are so dramatically beautiful that they generate secondary income opportunities in cut flower markets, where unusual specimens command extraordinary prices from florists serving high-end events and weddings. Supplement companies producing sleep and relaxation formulations are actively seeking domestic passion flower supply because quality control on imported material is inconsistent, and the compounds that make passion flower medicinally effective are volatile and degrade significantly during long supply chains. A domestic grower who harvests and dries properly has a genuine product quality advantage that buyers recognize and pay for. Think of it as the most beautiful plant in your garden that also happens to pay your electricity bill. Number 19. Black cohosh. Black cohosh represents one of the most significant income opportunities for growers in forested or partially shaded properties that cannot support conventional crops or full-sun medicinal herb cultivation. Actaea racemosa root sells for $20 to $40 per pound dried, and the women's health supplement market that drives demand is worth hundreds of millions in annual retail sales. Here is the critical context that makes black cohosh both an opportunity and a responsibility. Wild harvesting of black cohosh has put genuine pressure on native populations in eastern North American forests, creating a situation where cultivated, sustainably produced black cohosh commands premium prices from responsible supplement manufacturers who've made ethical sourcing a documented supply chain commitment. The cultivated premium over wild harvested material is significant. Buyers who have faced criticism for sourcing from wild harvesting operations will pay more for certified cultivated material. Black cohosh takes 3 to 5 years to reach harvestable root size, making it the longest-term investment on this list, but also potentially the highest per-pound return for a shaded property that has no other high-value use. Once established in appropriate conditions, the planting requires no maintenance, expands through natural rhizome division, and produces indefinitely. Think of it as the patience plant that turns your shaded woodland garden into a forest pharmacy while actually helping to protect native populations in the wild. Number 20. Ginger. And here we are at number 20,
The plant I saved for last because it represents the clearest and most immediate path from first planting to first income check for any grower watching this. Fresh ginger, Zingiber officinal, sells for $3 to $8 per pound at wholesale and $10 to $20 per pound at farmers markets and through direct farm sales to restaurants and natural food stores. But the real income story with ginger is not the commodity price. It is the market gap between what restaurants, juice bars, natural food stores, and health-conscious consumers want from local, fresh, traceable ginger and what the commodity import market delivers. Chefs who source locally pay premium prices for fresh ginger that arrived from the ground this season rather than from a container that crossed an ocean. Juice bars and smoothie shops producing premium products need ginger with flavor and potency that imported commodity ginger increasingly cannot deliver. The cultivation cycle of ginger creates a complete annual income loop. Plant rhizomes in spring, harvest in fall, sell fresh through winter, and reinvest a portion of the harvest as planting material for next season. The system is self-sustaining, self-financing, and scalable as fast as your market connections allow. Start with a modest planting in containers or a protected bed and let the market pull your expansion. Think of it as the universal ingredient that every cuisine in the world needs, that almost no American backyard grower is producing, and that your local restaurants are already waiting to buy. If you made it to the end of this video, you now understand something most people looking at their backyard have never considered. Every square foot of growing space is either generating income or leaving money on the table. These 20 plants represent the clearest paths from unused garden space to genuine passive income. And the common thread running through every single one of them is the same: a market that is undersupplied, a product that commands premium pricing, and a plant that works harder than you do once it is in the ground. Smash that like button if this video changed the way you see your outdoor space. Drop a comment below and tell me which plant you are starting with. Are you going straight to lavender, betting on ashwagandha, or are you going to let your purslane take over? I read every comment, and I love hearing from this community. And if you have not subscribed to Ancient Flora yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. The knowledge in this channel can genuinely change what your land produces and what your life looks like. I would love to have you here for all of it.